The harvest 2014, that was a big lesson. The final result was that we basically didn't produce any red wines, basically, because we couldn't get the right maturation for Sangiovese. So we took a decision that year, quality. The year after, we didn't have bad wine to sell. We didn't have, after 2 years with the dock, to justify ourselves with a wine not at the top of the quality. And more than that, we got a very nice feedback from people from like journalists, but also the other winery that buys grapes from us. And it also taught us that there is a point in agriculture where there is nothing to do.
Welcome to this special Clubhouse session of the Italian Wine Podcast. Listen in as members of the Italian wine community engage in fascinating conversations about contemporary wine topics. If you enjoyed the show, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. And remember to subscribe and rate the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your pods.
Hi everyone, this is Beatrice welcoming you to the Italian Wine Clubhouse Ambassador's Corner, one of the top-ranked shows on Italian Wine Podcast. Here, our ambassadors get the mic to interview their favorite producers with total freedom. And if you miss it live, no worries. It's all recorded and dropped later on the Italian Wine Podcast. Today's guest host is Daniel Mwangi. So,
Yes.
Daniel, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, please. So I'm Daniel Mwangi from Kenya. I'm a sommelier. I'm working on a cruise line currently. I have 3 years experience in the cruising line. I also have 9 years in the hotel industry in the Middle East, specifically in Dubai. I'm a trained sommelier of Level 3 Wine and Spirits Education Trust Level 3, and I'm aspiring for more also. And also, I was trained in Win Italy this year, the year of 2025. I was one of the candidates.
Perfect, Daniel. Today you are going to interview Federico Bibi from Terre Margaritelli. So Daniel asked me if I can ask you the question. And so the first one that Daniel was thinking about was, can you tell us how you first became involved in the winemaking? Was it a family calling or a personal discovery?
We are talking about me or the family Margaritelli? Because the family Margaritelli was a soul calling, because Fernando Margaritelli, when he started, he left the main business to the three sons, and he asked back for a tractor, a piece of land, and a car to dedicate the rest of his life to his passion for wine. Michael, instead, more or less the same, because there was no connection between my family and agriculture at all, beside the huge passion of my father for food and wine. And so when I was kids, he always brought me to restaurants, winery. So I grew up with that culture. And as soon as I started to think about my future, since I was a kid, I always thought about me on food and wine, especially from Umbrian food and wine. My dream was to work to bring the culture of food and wine from Umbria around the world. And that was actually my first work for 8 years before I met the family Margaritelli. And then they asked me to help them with this new project, because in 2000, basically, the family wanted to reopen the cellar and restart the winemaking after a period where they used to sell all the grape to other producers. So either way, it was a personal decision for the passion for this beautiful world that is the food and wine world.
Well, the food and wine world of Umbria is one of my favorites. So thank you so much for your work. So the second question would be, what do you remember most vividly from your first harvest?
That was the first harvest that I did as a kid to a friend's house where I get drunk with the mosto. That was the first harvest I did as organizer of Cantina Aperte for the region of Umbria. And that was the first harvest at Terre Margaritelli in 2006. So each one have represented a big step beyond my thought. I would never think to would be capable or lucky to work in a such beautiful estate like Terra Margaritelli. But step by step, harvest by harvest, that's happened. And the beauty of the harvest as to the last moment of a full year of huge work is the fact that you can see the result of your physical labor. And that's the beauty of agriculture. When you make a product from scratch, from the ground, at the end, the result you feel it is part of your job, of your partners, of your colleagues, and the soul part is very important beyond the soil and the sun.
I remember that specifically emotion while I was doing the harvest with my family in our tiny, tiny, tiny vineyard. And really, the feeling was so, so, so nice. And I used to get drunk with most also, yeah. So I can feel the emotions that you have. Tenuta Margaritelli has deep family roots. How has your family's history shaped your approach to wine today?
So the family Margaritelli, as I mentioned, the estate, especially the vineyards, has been part of the family since the 40s. For years, the vineyards was the winemaking was out of their range, but now it's back. The new generation is stepping the winemaking process. Francesco is the new CEO of Terre Margaritelli as company. He took his license as sommelier. So the new generation is much more involved and is with a great passion for the wine as product, and they understood and feel this emotion of being part of the process. As I said, there are several businesses of the family Margaritelli in the wood industry, and so there is always a connection with the agriculture, forest. But for wine, this beauty of being one of the biggest part of the production, the human part, to transform the result of a cultivation in a final product is involving everybody every year a little more. So it's beautiful to see also this part. The family is getting deeper and deeper involved in the process.
It's literally a family business, literally. What
Yes.
was what was the turning point that made you realize wine was more than a business, but an art form from you?
Well, for me, as I said, when I was a kid, I started with this idea of I don't know why actually, but to to has this connection with the food and wine. The first product I fall in love was and is extra virgin olive oil and then wine. Both has this huge character, uh, pure, and it's a great way to express your thoughts, your feeling, and bring the final result and let the other people taste what you like. And through the wine, you can tell people what's your idea, what's your feeling, what's your thoughts about life in general. What do you think? How you make a wine? It should be at the end. An expression of how you like to live. That's what I really like about the wine business is that when there is a coherence between the lifestyle of the people that makes the wine and the wine itself.
I really like the analogy, to be honest, between olive oil and wine, because here in Italy they seem like completely two different things, and they are. But you can taste the wine. They are both products from the earth. They are both really nice and well done Italian product, something that we are really into it now. So I really like the analogy that you did and the fact that you come from the olive oil side to the wine side.
Yeah.
That's really nice. But
It's a natural evolution. With olive oil, it's hard to make money. So,
yeah, everybody tell me that it's so hard to make money with olive oil.
yeah.
But going to Tenuta Margaritelli, how would you describe the soul or the identity of Tenuta Margaritelli wines in just 3 words?
Sustainability is for sure the first words that represent us. Personality, we work a lot to try to make unique wines. And so, precious. We want to be precious. Not better, not the best, but unique.
The last one, the precious one, I mean, chef kiss. This is really a nice word to say about something that you really love, and I can tell that you love Tenuta Margaritelli. Many winemakers today talk about a sense of place. How do you capture that in your wines?
As I said, be coherent with the story, with the way you live. It's the place. What I tell all the time to people that come to visit the winery is always making question about the personal feeling of the producer and what they think about how they live to understand the way he lives, because that's what you then should find in the wine. And so at the end, the place is exactly that, is where you want to be because you are part of that spot. And to make this is the other thing we are trying to do all the time at Terre Margaritelli, not to make wine for the market, but to look for people that likes our wines the way we like to make it. As we say, we make unique wines. You may like it or not, but those are our wines.
That's really a huge statement because you don't go for the market, you go for the people that will love your wine. You put wine in front of everything. That's a really, really
We,
huge statement.
we put us, the wine is expression of us.
Yeah, really. I think that it's really bold, to be honest, to do in this kind of situation and market situation. So, really well done, guys.
Thank you.
So, sustainability and biological wine seems central to your philosophy. How
Yes.
do you balance respect for tradition with innovation? And what techniques do you use both in the vineyard and winery?
So when we decided to develop this new project of the Terre Margaritelli, sustainability was a key point that is part of the family for all the other businesses too. What we are trying to do basically is to bring back the original balance of the earth and the vineyard, trying to the certification organic is just the step to start with. So we went way beyond the certification. We are starting to use different way to work with the overcraft. We started to plant wildflowers and we built it bugs hotel to enlarge the biodiversity on bugs and insects. We are trying to do as much as we can to put less impact on every single step of the production. In the cellar, for example, this year we started experimentation with the University of Perugia to select our indigenous yeast, and so this is probably the last experimentation is the one that better answer to your question. So what we are trying to do is to identify our indigenous yeast, select them, reproduce, and use them for the fermentation. So basically, we are trying to use indigenous yeast, but selected, so we can guarantee the quality at the end of the process. So we work with the traditional yeast, indigenous yeast, selected. So we are doing a lot of experimentation, try to preserve and guarantee the final quality. That's our way to maintain the same level on the three elements: innovation, tradition, and organic.
Seems like a spot for a new, I don't know, IT tech something, innovation, experimentation, and organic. Staying on the vineyard side of the thing, tell us a bit about your vineyard. So, what makes your soil and microclimate distinctive? What kind of wildflower are you putting on the vineyard? So, tell us a little bit about more that.
So our estate is developed on one big field, 60 hectare, all around the cellar, in a very unique place. It's called Miralduolo. It's a little canyon, basically, in the Torgiano area. And most of the winery of Torgiano has at least a piece of vineyard in this little part of Torgiano, because it's a very nice spot. It's all face south. It's very windy, and the soil is very interesting because we have clay, sand, and stones. So we have richness, drains, minerality. So the perfect condition to grow vineyards. So it's considered, if I can borrow a word from French, it's the cru of Torgiano. And we are lucky that all our property is exactly in that part of the area. What we are planting depends every year. What we are planting mostly is peas, beans, grains, all these kind of elements that helps to enrich and bring balance on the soil. So what basically we are trying to use plants to give back to the soil what we are absorbing with the vineyard, and in a natural way. And this is our opinion, the first step to give personality to the wines, because basically we are producing the aliment for the vineyards right in the vineyard. So our vineyards is fitted directly here, and this will affect for sure the quality of the grapes. That again, I'm not saying are better. I'm not saying that our way is the best. I'm saying it's unique. And not because we are genius, it's because we are one. That's it.
And how has your approach to this organic viticulture and all these experiments evolved over time? So I'm thinking from the start for Tenuta Margaritelli to now.
So we started 18 years ago, basically, with the first approach to the organic. And at the beginning was mostly trying to not fail with the organic certification. So trying to do everything was asked, and nothing more, but just to be sure that we could make it. And then every year, every step by step, we became more confident, and we tried new direction every year, try something new, looking around how the weather was changing. So trying to adapt all the works to the new era, the new season. So changing the time of the pruning, the type of pruning, changing the way to work on the greens on the fields. What if cut it, not cut it, smash it, keep it as protection of the soil, reduce the evaporation of the water, trying to enlarge the capacity of the fields to absorb the water and keep it, because when it rains much more than before, but then there is long times with no rain. So we have to give back the capacity of the soil to absorb all that water and not let it go, and then also try not to get that water evaporate, but keep it in the ground for the plants. So that's was our challenge: study, be present in the vineyard, and trying to change what needs to be changed to preserve and obtain the good results we need.
So, last question about the vineyard, but maybe the toughest one that Daniel came up with. So, can you describe one challenge in the vineyard, of course, that taught you an important lesson about patience or resilience?
Well, the harvest 2014, that was a big lesson. The big lesson was that in 2014 we had a lot of rain at the last period of the harvest. The final result was that we basically didn't produce any red wines, basically, because we couldn't get the right maturation for Sangiovese. It was really tough, but that year we decided not to harvest the Sangiovese because we were not happy with the quality. And we didn't harvest the Sangiovese for us to make our wines, but we didn't harvest neither for the grape we normally sell to other producers. So we took a decision that year, quality. And the year after, we learned that that decision, that being coherent with our idea, was the key point. Because the year after, we didn't have bad wine to sell. We didn't have, after 2 years with the DOC, to justify ourselves with a wine not at the top of the quality. And more than that, we got a very nice feedback from people from like journalists, but also the other winery that buys grapes from us, saying thank you for took this hard decision, and they appreciate and they recognize us these huge efforts that we do every year for bringing the best qualities possible for us and guarantee that. And it also teaches us that there is a point in agriculture where there is nothing to do. It's not up to us. We can do as much as we can, but there is a point where you have to register the loss. That's the beauty and the worst of agriculture. Sometimes you get something unique and incredible. Sometimes you get a big punch on the face. That's the game.
Linking to this question and to the 2014 situation, do you think that climate change is reshaping the Umbrian wine landscape? And how are you adapting also after that situation that you lived there?
Yes, I think it's reshaping a little bit. Regarding us, we are in a moment very unique. We decided to reorganize everything. So we are taking old vineyards out and putting new vineyards, trying to do new sets of plants, focus on traditional grapes. We are moving certain varietal on the higher part of the estate. So basically, we are doing a huge work here to reorganize everything, starting from the field, because this is our point. Everything starts from the field. The vine is the main element of our process. So if we want to keep doing it, we have to start from there. And we know that to make good wine, we need at least a 10 years old vineyard. So what we are trying to do now is to put the base to have the right vineyard in 10, 15 years. So we are trying to move now and base the work that will happen in 15 years.
So we are leaving the vineyard back and we are going on more on the techniques that you have on the cellar. So are there particular techniques in the cellar that are signature to your style?
Well, what we say all the time, our enologist has a huge responsibility, and this is not to ruin the grape. So basically, what we are trying to do is work a lot on the field, try to bring in the cellar the grape that we need for each label. So we do like 7 harvests of Sangiovese every year, just to give you an idea. And then in the cellar, we are trying to have the lower impact as possible. We decided to keep a low technology profile. We do use mostly stainless steel tank because we think they are much more neutral compared to many other elements. So we want to emphasize the character of the grape. Besides, we use a lot of wood, but as I said, to be coherent, we did a huge experimentation with the wood. As I mentioned, we have a cooking company in Burgundy. We have a sawmill company in Burgundy. So we buy the right to cut the oak tree. We process the tree. We make our own barrique. We know from which forest the wood come from. We know how the barrel are worked, the thickness of the wood, the dimension of the. We use only barriques and how they are toasted, if with steam or with fire. But more than that, we use the different elements for the different wines. And all these to respect the grape. So we trying to use the wood as a companion of the grape, not to cover, but to emphasize the character of the grape, to unlight the grape, to cover either the bitter, either the tannins, the alcohol. So at the end, the wood has a element to emphasize the character of the grape. So every single step of the process of the vinification is made in a way to emphasize the character of the grape.
And what do you think related of oak aging? Is it more a less is more or a tool for expression? So you were saying that it has to live with the grape, so emphasize the perfumes and the taste of the grape. But do you think that it's more on the lesser times in oak aging, or a little bit more, or as always, the right states in the middle?
You know, what we did with the wood, as I mentioned, is a huge research. So for us, it's not just wood, it's not just oak, it's not just French oak, but it's French oak from Allier, specifically for Ambertrange. And we buy the right to cut that tree, we process that tree. So the point of wood and wine is not just the final result. Is why you choose for that forest, why you choose for that techniques to work with that forest, and to use the different techniques, the different tree, depending on the different varietals. So we know which forest is better for white, which forest is better for red. We know if it's better to work with steam or not, so with that forest or the other forest. So for us, the wood is a very important element, and we did a huge research about wood and wine concept. So it's beautiful to see how the wood can make a difference, and but on the other side, how you can keep the original flavor of the grape by using the wood.
So it's not a matter of right time, it's a matter of right wood.
It's a matter of which forest,
Which
but not.
forest, yeah.
But the point is, there is not a better forest. Like for the wine, I said, our wines are not the best. Our wines are unique, and the same we can say with the forest. There is none at the best forest, but there is a forest that it works perfectly for what we achieve for, what we look for. So that forest is great for us. That doesn't mean that would be great for the other. Depend on what you look for, depend on what wine you have, which grape you have, the structure of your wine, the structure of your grape. As I like to say, wine, grape, wine, wood, those are alive elements. And if you don't try, you cannot see the difference. We did a lot of experimentation, and we came out with the results that no one of us, neither no one from the cooking company, believed that that result was true. We all thought that bigger barrel would have a lower impact. Toasting in a way instead of another would have a different impact. The final result was completely different depending on the wine.
I feel like if I have to say something about Terre Margaritelli, I would say uniqueness after this interview and research.
Yeah, that's us.
Yeah, that's literally you. We have to wrap it up, so I have one last question. Are you ready, Fede?
Sure.
What's the next chapter for the estate? So, are there new projects or experiments you're particularly excited about? It's always the last question about the future, but we have to do it. And it's really nice also to hear the new project that you will have.
Yeah. So the beauty of us is the fact that every time someone comes to the estate, there is something new. A new wine, a new part of the tasting room, a new part of the vineyard. It's always something new. It's a very dynamic place, Terra Margaritelli. And that's our beauty. Right now, we have a huge project in progress. We started years ago doing tasting, and we host people every day. And this is basically what we are trying to do as much as we can. Our goal is to reach at least the 60% of the sales on direct selling at the estate. So what is exciting me for the next couple of years, it's all the project of renewing the tasting room, the outside, the event area, all this, because we'll change completely the face of our estate. So come to visit us.
Stay tuned for the new 2.0 Tenuta Margaritelli. So, Federico, thank you so much. That was such a nice interview. And thank you so much, Daniel, for the question. We are so sorry that for technical reason you couldn't be here with us. But really, thank you so much. The questions were amazing. Thank you so much, Federico. Your answers were perfect. And thank you so much, guys, to have spent time with us. For those who are interested to participate, just send us a DM through our Instagram or mail our Italian Wine Podcast producers at info@italianwinepodcast.com. Thank you, everyone and everybody, for listening in. And thank you so much again, Federico. That was really, really nice.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao. Ciao.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through italianwinepodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.